Gems. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Jerixa, aka Gem, aka your favorite hype girl with a camera, and today I'm going to be interviewing Stephanie. And one thing about Stephanie is I actually met her working one of my jobs when I lived in Jersey. We both worked for a eyeglassware company, and Stephanie is from Oregon, and she was actually one of my, I guess you want to call clients. The eyeglassware company that we used to work for, we took care of eye doctor offices all over the United States, and she was one of the offices that I had to take care of. I took care of the Oregon offices. So we try to remember how we started talking photography, but neither of us can remember. But we did, and I remember us exchanging Facebooks right before I ended up leaving the company, and then we found each other on Instagram, and boom, here we are. We ended up recording for 3 hours. Usually when I interview these photographers, it's only for an hour, hour and a half tops, depending on how the flow is going. We talked things photography, things not photography, and hopefully we will be working on something together in the near future. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy this video featuring Stephanie Ford of Stephanie Ford Productions. Hi!
Hey!
Hey, how are you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I was trying to remember. I was like, we obviously connected through like, what was it? Vision Associates. Yeah. And I was just like, man, when have we ever like really communicated? Because I'm just like, we have this other connection that, got us even talking. And I forget how we both figured out like we were into photography at the time.
No, I don't even remember.
Yes.
Are you doing this full time?
No, I
Okay.
wish I was. Yeah. And it's funny because like I quit Vision Associates, in 2019, right at like June, because June's my birthday and I kind of wanted to out.
You're like, happy birthday to me. I quit.
Yeah. I thought, my trend line was going like this. So I was like, okay, 2020 is going to be awesome, right?
Yeah, right.
And of course, 2020, brought reality back to earth.
Humble us all. Let's just back it all the way up. I'm like, wait, I didn't even ask her to introduce herself.
All right. So I'm Stephanie Ford of Stephanie Ford Productions. I started my business more or less in Portland, Oregon. But before I actually like fully finished the first version of the website, I ended up moving to Florence, Oregon, which is Central Coast, about 3.5 hours southwest of Portland. And yeah, so between all of the transitions and everything involved with that, I kind of put my idea of a business on a shelf for a year just to adapt to the changes happening in my life in 2016. And then in 2017, I switched jobs to Vision Associates, where Jerix and I kind of started this whole conversation. And I found out I was going to have a whole lot more free time on my hands. So I was like, I should dust that thing off and maybe finish that and actually go somewhere with this if I really want to try this. And that's when I really finished the first version of the website, which is so different than what I have now. Yeah. So, I mean, ever since then, it's like I've had other, side gigs that I kind of juggle along with photography. My main one being like dog sitting, because I love animals. And it's easy in this town because everybody has one. I do actually even have another day job now, like that's Monday through Thursday, because they were like, oh, you do photography? I was like, yeah. So I'm kind of hoping I can get this shift. And they're like, yeah, we can make that work. I'm like,
oh,
real? Okay, music to my ears.
Oh my gosh, that's so wild. Yeah, I was thinking, I was like, first of all, does she still work for VA? And like, if not, then were you doing this full time?
Yeah.
Wow.
It feels like close to full time. I mean, it has felt that way, I think, since 2021. It feels like it's getting back to that. But even this year, I feel like there is a dip. And I think I don't know, in general, the economy feels like people are tightening it up again. I don't know if you feel that as well, but I'm hearing that from other photographers, at least out here, where it's like we're getting the inquiries, but we're not getting the bookings.
We're not getting the bookings. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on from A to B, but like whatever's going on, I need to figure it out
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Because I mean,
I'm dying.
I know at least a couple of them, were honest enough to tell me that, yeah, it came down to price point, and it's like, yeah, I'm not the cheapest photographer here anymore. Like
And
those days,
exactly, and that's not what you're trying to be anymore.
no, 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 no. It's like, in order to be full time, this has to be a self-sustaining thing. So I've got to look at all of my cost of doing businesses, expenses, and go like, okay, this is what I need to charge. And then, I also have to pay a team and I have to pay a video editor and I have to do all these things.
We have
Like
to
I
pay for a
understand.
website. Oh,
Yes.
I just had to renew my website for the year, and I was
Um,
like, oh.
but that's how we do it, right? And granted, it's like I have a conflict in my head, and I've had this conversation too with other people of like, how much do you potentially explain to clients and how much are they actually going to hear either? Because it's like nobody wants me to literally list out these are all the things that I'm paying for
Freak them out.
on a yearly basis that come out of what you're paying me to do your wedding, for example.
Yeah.
Uh, you don't care. I mean, why would you care? You're not in this business. Only us photographers kind of really
Yeah.
care about like, oh my gosh, like who do you use for this and who do you use for that? Most of the time your client doesn't necessarily care unless they're, they have a camera of their own and they're
Oh my
just like,
gosh. But
oh, what do you
even when they do have a camera of their own and they're asking questions, and I'm like, just because you bought a camera at Best Buy.
I mean, when I got into this in gosh, 2013,
You've been
uh,
shooting since 2013?
I've been shooting since 2013. And that was when my friend gave me my first camera, my first DSLR. And then that fall, one of my friends got married, and I was like, I really want to experience shooting a wedding. Uh, if it's okay with your photographer, because I knew she had hired a photographer. I was like, if she doesn't mind, because somehow I already knew you had to get permission, even though I hadn't learned any of this stuff
You're a
yet.
photographer at heart, ma'am.
I know, right. I was like, if she doesn't mind, can I just come and shoot and see if I even love this,
Yeah.
And I knew zero. Like I knew not what I was doing. And it was a dark indoor church wedding. My friend liked my photos better. I still don't know why. I still don't know why. Because I look at them. I don't know what I was doing. I had a crap camera. Like, um, but I think it was also just I don't know, maybe it was even just the effort that I was putting in, so maybe it's not all necessarily about the photos themselves. I was just more engaged with her and her husband than the other photographers seemed to be.
Do
And so
you
sometimes
ever,
it's a personality thing.
I was just gonna go there. Do you ever feel like sometimes, yes, you're getting clients based off of your prices, your talent, how you edit your photos, but do you also feel like there is a part that books you just based off your personality?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I know people once in a while who will go above what, they really actually wanted to pay because we had a good vibe and they vibe with me. And, maybe we had um an actual engagement session that was a giveaway or something like that. And so it's like they got a taste of it and now they're willing to pay more for the wedding because they got that vibe with me on a personality level. And they're just like, we have to have you. I'm like, yay.
Yes.
you know,
It breaks my heart to hear stories about people saying, "Oh, my photographer was so stiff and had no personality, and I was so disappointed." I'm like, how can somebody be in this industry and be like so dry?
I don't understand, honestly, because I'm like, I am not the most extroverted person. I consider myself an
Either.
introvert, but I mean, you, and this is one of those things that I think really I wish more people understood about hiring a photographer is like, they're the ones leading your day.
Period.
And to stop, it's just like drop the microphone right now. We're the ones more or less leading your day. Like we are the ones going, I got to get this group corralled and I got to get through this list in order to get everybody off to, cocktail hour so that I can have my bride and groom and so that I can do this, this, and this, and then, keep the day rolling.
Yep.
Yes, you hire a day of coordinator, I hope.
Oh,
Okay. And those are fantastic people to have on your, back line. But, ultimately when it comes down to it, it's like we have the timeline in our head and we're literally just going like, I got to get these shots. I got to get this done. Here's where we are. I've got 10 minutes to get this.
we are basically in charge of the entire day. So mind blowing for people who think that this is just a clicking of a button. No. I, like,
No, there's so
and
much
especially
more.
now in 2023, you need to be on every single social platform ever created.
What do I need to post? And then how do I do it on this platform? And then how do I do it on that platform? And then all the things. I'm like, I'm so ready to hire a social media manager and just hand this thing off because I'm just like, I'm
So
like,
where do you get most of your leads?
Facebook honestly is where I get a lot.
Okay.
And then I get a lot from Google because of where I'm located in a destination vacation spot in Florence, Oregon. So it's right on the Central Oregon coast. So because of that, people will be looking at, photographers in Florence, Oregon, and they find me.
Wow. Okay, good to know. I want to say Facebook is definitely where it's mostly at just because I'm sure you're in a ton of Facebook
Oh,
groups.
yes.
So my. And that's a whole other thing that I'm like, I feel like I have to hire somebody just to be on Facebook at all times because especially in photography, I'm sure makeup artists, hairstylists, they go through this too. But I
Yes.
feel like a post will go up, hey, I'm looking for a photographer for my wedding. And within 5 minutes, there's 100 comments.
Yes. And after a certain amount, I'm like, why bother even putting my information in there?
Me
Because
too.
I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, look at the date, look at their budget if they post it. If I'm like double their budget, I'm like, why even bother? They're probably not going to want to spend double what they're posting here. Granted, most people don't actually post a budget
Oh,
with
that's another thing.
100 times two, comments in there. And I'm just like, it would really, really help all of us if we could get some simple information like date, first of all. Venue, yeah, we're curious. We'd
Yeah,
like to know, but that's
yeah.
not super important. You know, budget is really the top two is date and budget. Like those two things will eliminate a lot of your responses if people are actually paying attention.
Exactly. And it's not just not wasting our time, but it's also wasting the client's time. If your
Yes.
budget is $600 for 8 hours, I'm sorry, I'm not going to message you.
No, no. And I mean, Jerixa, you just got married. So when you were looking for a photographer, now
Yep.
granted, us photographers, we know a lot of people who also photograph. So you might have already known who you wanted to pick. But
Mhm.
if you were really starting from ground zero, how many comments do you think you would actually go through before you just like, I'm done. Like I can't look at one more site. I'm bleh.
No. Okay, so when I was looking, because that was the hardest thing for me
I'm
to choose, the first thing I did was find someone who I loved their style of how she edited. That was the first thing. I saw that and then I was like, okay, I love her style. Let me message her to feel her vibe out. We connected immediately. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I've known her forever. And then my last thing personally for me was the budget, just because I'm a wedding photographer. So I know that this is not a click thing. I know how much time goes into this. So I was willing to pay whatever I needed to pay. When she told me the price, I was like, done. I want you. And till this day, we're still friends.
That's
So
fantastic.
it's like, that's just how I personally shopped. I wish
Yeah.
I could like ask people because I'm sure people have been on the Facebook groups and it's like, as a bride to be, what are you looking for in a photographer? But I know 9 out of 10 are going to be like budget.
Sorry, having done this as long as I have, as a business for 5 years now, it's like, let's be honest. Ultimately, it usually does come down to budget in some way. It
Yeah,
just depends on whether that's your first priority or whether it's like number three on your list or something like that.
exactly.
Any photographer worth their salt understands that. We've been in business. This is a business. We do understand, even if you love our work, you may not be able to afford us. and that's okay.
And that's
I mean,
okay.
we can't survive in business either if we're going to get hung up on every single little rejection.
How do you get through that? Because I will literally freak out.
I mean, I think I did earlier in business freak out a little bit, and I was just like, they hate it, they don't want to say anything, what's going on? And over time, I don't know if this is again just me either growing thicker skin or becoming calloused or something. I'm just like, okay, life got busy. They
That's
didn't hate it because they didn't say anything,
yes,
so I've turned it around a little bit. I'm like, if they had hated it, they would have said something.
yes. Like I've also tried to flip my thinking to when somebody ghosts me, I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, you know what? It's because I'm getting something so much bigger that day. This wasn't supposed to be my couple. There's a couple that's looking for me for this specific date, and they're going to come to me, and it's going to be better than this couple over here that ghosted me.
Absolutely. I think a lot of surviving in this industry or just in business alone as an entrepreneur comes down to mindset. You really have to be able to flip the script and go, okay, don't focus so hard on the fact that you lost this one. It's like there's still, I mean, 9, 10 other people, still looking for that date, probably more than that. But, you know, again, it's just, you just got to get past it.
Not seeking the validation from other people and just being happy with whatever you did.
Yeah, and I know that's a huge problem in our industry. The whole imposter syndrome thing. And it's funny to me, like, I guess maybe it's just also because I'm not a huge fan of social media sometimes. It's like I don't personally struggle with it in that way. I think it's more like I struggle when I just see, and only some photographers do this, but they're like posting about bookings constantly. And I'm just like, okay, now I feel a little like, this person's booking left, right, and center, and I'm just like, it's kind of like crickets over here,
Ah, I say all the time, if I didn't have this business, I wouldn't have social media and I'd be totally
Yeah,
fine with it.
I think it's just always a fine balance too of like how much personal do I share, and then how much business do I share when really it feels like, well, the business is personal even though it's not.
I try to like kind of mix them up because I do get a lot of
Mhm.
people that were like, I feel like I've known you your whole life because of how you come across on Facebook and Instagram. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. I want to keep doing that, but I will say that like right now, today's Tuesday, Monday. For the
Yeah.
past like 3 or 4 days, I haven't been on Instagram, and it's just because I'm just exhausted from having to give all of my energy to everybody that I'm
Yes.
like, I just can't. So I have spurts where I'll post all week and then I'll go a week and you won't see me. And it's because I'm so drained from giving all of my energy to everybody.
You just hit on, I think, a huge topic for entrepreneurism, whether it's photography or otherwise, because I'm just like, I have been going through this entire winter where I'm just like low motivation, um, don't want to really do anything beyond what I absolutely must
Have
do.
to. Yep.
And, social media, of course, being one of the things that falls through the cracks because it's just like, I don't feel like it, when I have low motivation to begin with. I think it's a challenge for us to really go beyond and just be like, okay, you know, what you just talked about is so important. It's like our energy levels. I mean, you come out of a wedding day where you're on your feet 6, 8, 10 hours. You are just physically and mentally exhausted. And the next day, yeah, don't ask me to do jack shit. Like, it ain't gonna
Nothing.
happen. At
Nothing.
best, I might get your sneak peeks done, but other than that, like, leave me alone.
That's it. And another thing is, okay, you're spending that 8, 10 hours shooting, but you're also around 200 people and you're around all of their energy and it's rubbing off
It's
on you.
getting it, you're feeding off of it, and that keeps you high while you're there, but then it's like you had this major crash afterwards.
It's like drinking soda. You drink the soda and you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then you have your crash.